Good evening, everyone. This is Luke Ingram. I am the head counselor at Dunwoody High School, and I am in charge of dual enrollment here. Hopefully, everybody can see the presentation. There will be a copy of this presentation and a copy of uh, or recording of this presentation available on the counseling website after we are done today. So we want to talk about what dual enrollment is. So dual enrollment is a program with the state of Georgia that provides funding for students to take college level classes for credit towards both their high school and college graduation requirements. So this is a great opportunity for eligible students to get ahead with their college requirements while they're still in high school. Um, the funding is provided through the state of Georgia, so students are able to access these classes at no cost to themselves for the period of time that they are eligible. It's important to note the dual enrollment deadlines. The state and the individual colleges have their own deadlines that they set, but the state does allow school districts to set earlier deadlines. For spring dual enrollment, that deadline is October 15th. That is from DeKalb County School District. And then for fall and summer dual enrollment participation annually, that will be March 15th. Some important considerations with dual enrollment. Transportation is not provided. So if students are taking in-person classes, they do need to make sure that they have a way to get to those classes at the college. Um, Dual enrollment classes should not overlap with Dunwoody High School courses. Now, this is sometimes easier than others because our schedule does not line up perfectly with the college schedule. But if a student is regularly missing either their college or their Dunwoody class, we really can't expect them to be successful. For classes that are 1 or 2 credit hours, those count. This is a state rule, count as a half high school credit. And classes that are between 3 and 5 credit hours count for an entire high school credit. Students are required to have a full schedule. So that means that at a block schedule like Dunwoody, they have to have 4 classes, 4 total credits each semester. We can't let a student take 9 hours at the college and then not have a Dunwoody class. There needs to be 4 total credits each semester. Classes do have to be approved in Georgia Futures in order for students to register for classes. If they do manage to register for a class that has not been approved in Georgia Futures, the college will either drop them from that class or the student will have a bill at the end of the semester that they will have to pay. It's important to note that counselors and the Dunwoody staff cannot see dual enrollment classes or grades due to FERPA. Parents are also typically unable to communicate with the college due to FERPA. That puts a lot of responsibility on the student. They are treated as an adult. They're treated as an undergraduate student by the college. Because of that, we have had some unfortunate surprises on a number of occasions where a senior has not graduated because they failed a class required for graduation in the spring. So it is the recommendation of DeKalb County School District that seniors not take a class that is required for high school graduation in the spring, that all of those classes are taken in the fall. We will automatically receive transcripts from the college after the semester has ended. That's often 2 or 3 weeks into the next semester. They do try to get us the spring semester grades faster because they know that we're trying to get the students graduated, but we do not receive those grades immediately as the college semester ends. Some important steps for dual enrollment. You do have to apply to the dual enrollment institution if you're not already admitted to that school. So if you are currently taking a dual enrollment class at Georgia State, you do not have to reapply for the spring. But if you are starting dual enrollment fresh, you'll have to apply to the college. And if you are starting dual enrollment at a different college, so if you have been attending Georgia State and you want to pick up some classes at Gwinnett Tech, you would have to apply to that new university. In order to get your transcripts sent to your dual enrollment college, you will request those through gafutures.org. That is also where you will complete the funding application. That'll be need to be completed by October 15th, that DeKalb County School District deadline. You only have to complete the Georgia Futures funding application once per year. The current funding application includes summer 2025, fall 2025, and spring 2026. So if you took dual enrollment classes in the summer or are currently taking classes through dual enrollment this semester, you do not need to do a funding application for spring 2026. That is already complete in GA Futures. What we will need completed every semester is the dual enrollment funding request form, which is in Microsoft Teams. In that form, you will request your specific dual enrollment classes so that I can approve them for funding. You'll upload your completed Dunwoody High School dual enrollment advisement form, as well as your DCSD participation agreement. In order to receive updates about dual enrollment, when I get them, I do encourage everybody to join the Dunwoody Dual Enrollment Remind account if they haven't done so already. That code is @DWoodDual, @DWoodDual. Eligibility requirements. 10th graders are eligible for a specific subset of dual enrollment classes. They can enroll in any CTAE classes listed on the course directory at participating technical colleges. 10th grade students are not eligible to participate in dual enrollment at Georgia State until the summer after their 10th grade year. So they will be still considered 10th graders for us at the high school, but the college considers them 11th graders as soon as they have completed that spring semester of 10th grade. For 11th and 12th graders, eligible students can take any approved dual enrollment courses listed on the dual enrollment course directory in Georgia Futures at any participating college. The students must meet that specific college admissions requirements. There may be prerequisites for some of the courses that they want to take, so we encourage students to make sure that they meet those prerequisites. And in some classes, particularly the math classes, do require students to go in for a placement test. A lot of times that will delay some registrations because students are wanting to take statistics or take college pre-calculus, and they have to test in to those particular classes. Most of our students do their dual enrollment through Georgia State. Georgia State recommends that the application materials be submitted 2 to 3 weeks prior to their application deadline to make sure that everything clears and students are accepted before registration begins. For spring 2026, Georgia State has that their deadline is November 1st. So early on in October, it is recommended that students go ahead and complete and submit their application if they plan to attend Georgia State. In order to meet some of those prerequisites that I mentioned earlier, some students will be submitting AP scores. AP scores must be sent through College Board, through the student's College Board account. I have spoken with Georgia State previously about trying to get the AP scores from our assistant principal over College Board testing, and Georgia State and most colleges will not accept them sent unofficially through the high school. They require them directly through College Board. This is a quick video that will show students how to request a transcript through GA Futures.
Mr. Ingram, Mr. Ingram,
Um, the way that we are able to see what classes are eligible for dual enrollment funding is through the dual enrollment course directory. This is in Georgia Futures. Students will go select their academic year. So this is the 25-26 school year. They will select the college that they plan to attend, and it will list the classes that are eligible for dual enrollment funding. I do also have this linked on the Counseling Weebly website under dual enrollment. In order to request the funding in Georgia Futures, students will fill out the Microsoft form for dual enrollment funding request for spring 2026. This is also linked on the Dunwoody Counseling Weebly, and this again is due by October 15th. This will tell me what specific classes students want funded for dual enrollment. To complete the Microsoft form, students will have to log into their DeKalb County student account. And then I often have students ask me what classes they're supposed to register for. So students should request a receipt of their responses when they submit the Microsoft form. Down here, you can see that there's a checkbox for send me an email receipt of my responses. That way students will be able to go back and see which classes they requested if there's a little bit of time between when they request the classes and when they actually register for them. Also, with that Microsoft form, students will upload the DCSD participation agreement. This is what it looks like. It looks a lot like the Georgia Futures funding application. Looking down here at the bottom, a lot of times students and parents will get confused because it tells you to upload the dual enrollment paperwork into the advisement meeting in Infinite Campus. Those are instructions for me from the district, and students and parents can disregard it. This is what the Georgia Futures funding application looks like for counselors. So sometimes students, instead of giving me the course name, for example, this one is BUSA 2106. We've got KH 2400, Accounting 2101. Sometimes students will give me the course reference number, which is specific to the college, or will give me the professor name that they want, other things like that. I am not able to look up courses with that information. I do need the actual course name when students are requesting the classes. This is what the Georgia Futures funding application looks like on the student side. So they'll go into Georgia Futures, they'll click on dual enrollment, and then on the blue Apply Now button. After the students have completed their part, an email will be sent to the parent to complete the parent acknowledgement for dual enrollment. Parents do not have to have a Georgia Futures account in order to access this. They will be able to access it using the information from their student's application. It's important to note that last year in fall 2024, Georgia Futures servers crashed about a week before the funding deadline, and they were down for quite a while. I encourage everybody to complete this as soon as they know what classes they're interested in taking and not waiting to the last minute because we do sometimes experience technical difficulties and I don't want anybody to miss out on this opportunity. Again, that deadline from the district is October 15th. We've had some changes to the curriculum from the state in recent years. Um, it's important to make sure that your classes are on the Georgia Futures course directory because otherwise they are ineligible for funding. This past semester, I've had a lot of students ask me for classes that are not on the Georgia Futures course directory. So I do encourage everybody to make sure when they are looking at classes that they appear on that directory in Georgia Futures. A change for this year, Econ 1101 is a new class that meets Georgia Department of Education graduation requirements for high school. In previous years, a lot of students would take macroeconomics, microeconomics, or global economics through Georgia State to meet their econ graduation requirement, but those will no longer satisfy state graduation requirements. Students will need to take that Econ 1101. They are able to take the other econ classes as elective classes, but it will be important to make sure that seniors in particular are meeting graduation requirements for econ. The English curriculum has also changed this past year. English dual enrollment classes taken to satisfy a third and fourth English requirement must be considered core classes by the Georgia DOE. I have looked at the way that English 1101 and English 1102 are coded for dual enrollment, and currently only one of them, one or the other, is considered a core class. The other one is considered an elective. So students will need to take the 9th and 10th grade literature here at the high school. Some of our students will take AP language and then test into English 1102. They can continue with that. So those students will have taken Lit 9, Lit 10, AP Lang, and then 1102 can satisfy their senior English requirement. But from what I am seeing, students will not be able to take 9th and 10th grade English, then 1101 and 1102 at Georgia State because that 1102 will be considered an elective class and they will need to take an additional English class to meet graduation requirements. Once students have registered for classes, I need them to upload their schedule. This is also linked on the Dunwoody Counseling Weebly under dual enrollment. This is so that we can confirm that they have their dual enrollment classes and we can make sure that they have those travel time holding codes on their schedules. Otherwise, the district will require us to schedule them for Dunwoody High School classes. Georgia State, and I'm talking about Georgia State a lot just because that's where most of our students go. The spring scheduled classes for Georgia State will be available on October 13th, according to their website, and registration opens on October 27th. I have the schedule upload deadline as November 14th, and that's just because the students who wait to register for classes oftentimes cannot find seats in the classes that they're interested in. October 27th to November 14th might seem like a really quick turnaround, but in college classes, those seats do typically go fairly fast. And the more popular the class, the faster those seats go away. So I really do encourage students to make sure that within, those first 2 weeks or so after registration opens, that they have gotten the seats in the classes that they want. Another dual enrollment option for students that are interested in attending technical college is the Accelerated Career Diploma. This is where students are able to earn both a high school diploma as well as two technical certificates, a technical diploma or an associate degree through a technical college. These students, instead of taking the 24 classes that are typically required for graduation, only have to take 9 high school classes in addition to the classes at the technical school. We have not had many students graduate through this pathway, but we have had some, and they are able to graduate with their high school diploma as well as with the college credentials and go directly into their chosen career pathway. So for anybody who is interested in this, it is a great option. And we encourage you to come and talk to the counselors more in depth about it because it is a little bit more specific depending on the specific pathway that students are interested in. In just a minute, we are going to take some questions from the chat. But if you come up with a question later, I encourage you to visit the Georgia Futures website or the college website for whichever institution you plan on attending. You can email me, luke_ingram@dekalbschoolsga.org. Or I have a link on the Counseling Weebly where students, if they have more in-depth questions, they can schedule a meeting with me to discuss their dual enrollment questions or concerns. We do want all of our students to challenge themselves, make sure that they're taking advantage of all the great opportunities here at Dunwoody High School, but we do want to remind everybody that their journey is their own. Life is not a competition, so make sure that you and your student are making choices that make sense for their life and their goals moving forward. And so that is the end of the presentation. If there are any questions, I encourage you to put them in the chat and we will begin addressing those. Okay, so we have a question for a student that has taken 3 years of English at the high school and is taking English 1101 at Georgia State. Does that count as a 4 class? Yes. So if you've taken 9th grade English, 10th grade English, and American Lit or AP Lang at Dunwoody High School, English 1101 will count as your 4th English credit. Okay, so this presentation and the recording will both be available on the Dunwoody High School Counseling Weebly under dual enrollment. We have another student that asked, can a senior take 2 dual enrollment classes in 1 semester? Yes, so students are able to take no dual enrollment. Students can be full-time dual enrollment, provided they're still meeting their graduation requirements. They are able to take anywhere in between those as well. Another question, this is great information. Is there a checklist available to ensure we don't miss a step in the timeline? Yes, there is a checklist available on the Dunwoody High School Counseling Weebly on the dual enrollment page. If we have a class filling a spot for our next semester schedule but want to replace it with dual enrollment, when should we go to our counselor? So once you've registered for the classes and have that schedule uploaded on the counseling website, that would be the time that we would begin adjusting those schedules. Another one asking if English 1102 is okay as well as 1101. So if you've taken the first three Englishes here at the high school, um, and your third English was AP Lang, and you have an AP score that gets you out of or exempts you from the 1101, then yes, 1102 is fine for your fourth English. What does it mean if the current GA Futures application says PSI decision pending, fall classes at Georgia State start next week? So decision pending means that you are waiting on approval from the college. PSI stands for post-secondary institution. Someone asked, where do you go to register for Georgia Futures? The website is gafutures.org. Someone asked what the Counseling Weebly website is. So that website is dunwoodyhscounseling.weebly.com. I'll see if I can put that in the chat as well. Okay. Someone asked if their student has met graduation requirements first semester of senior year, can they just take one or two dual enrollment classes in the spring with no high school classes, or do they have to take four second semester as well? So the district requires that all students have a full-time schedule. So we are required to give students a total of four classes each semester, even if they have met their graduation requirements with fewer. For colleges like Kennesaw and Georgia Tech, do we have any class info as you gave for GSU classes? I'm not sure if that is for the deadlines or if that is for the dual enrollment course directory. If it's for the dual enrollment course directory, then that is one of the drop downs. You'll be able to select which college you're attending, and Georgia Futures will show you what classes are eligible for dual enrollment funding. If you're asking for those deadlines, I don't have those offhand, but would be able to look those up on the college websites. If a senior wants to take statistics dual enrollment, are they okay to do spring semester since it isn't required? Yes, if you are not taking AP statistics as your fourth required math class, if it's just an elective, then that's perfectly fine to take second semester. The requirements to apply, requirements to apply will be different based on the grade level. Um, for 10th graders are typically only going to be eligible to take CTAE classes at a technical college, whereas 11th and 12th graders are eligible to apply to any of the dual enrollment colleges in the state of Georgia. Someone asked where we can find the checklist on the Weebly. So that will be um, on the Weebly under the dual enrollment tab. And then under spring 2026. And then if you scroll down, there will be a couple of different Adobe files um, that are under the Spring 2026 heading, and it will be the second one of those. We'll have the checklist on it. If already in a fall dual enrollment, we don't have to fill out the Georgia Futures funding application once per school year. Yes, that is correct. If you have taken a summer 2025 or fall 2025 dual enrollment class and have that active dual enrollment funding application, you do not have to do one for spring 2026. You'll just need to fill out the Microsoft form to request classes be added. Someone asked, does GA Futures indicate on the course selection what is considered a core class for those that were planning to take English 1101 and 1102? Unfortunately, Georgia Futures does not. The way that has been explained to me in the meetings that I've had with Georgia Futures and the Georgia Department of Education is that those are two separate entities and they can update their documents at different times and their requirements at different times. So what we have to do is look at the high school course code next to the college code on the course directory. Then we have to go over to the Georgia Department of Education website and look up the course code in the Georgia Department of Education website to see if it is considered a core class or an elective class for the Department of Education. Okay. Someone asked if they only have two classes they need for senior year, can they take full-time dual enrollment? And is the process different from taking just one or two dual enrollment classes? Um, yes, so provided students are meeting their graduation requirements, they can take full-time dual enrollment or they can take just a couple of enrollment classes. Um, and then is the process different from taking just one or two dual enrollment classes? No, you'll still apply to the college, fill out the Georgia Futures funding application, and then request your classes through that Microsoft form. Okay, I'll give a couple more minutes in case anybody else has a question that they want to put in the chat. Okay, thank you everybody for attending. Again, I will have a copy of this presentation as well as a recording posted to the Dunwoody Counseling Weebly as soon as I can have it available. Thank you and have a great night.